99% of Facebook ad account structures are completely wrong, and that is why most brands aren't able to break past 50K a month. But the crazy part is that brands scaling past 500K a month aren't even doing anything special. They're just using one simple structure that almost nobody is talking about. And in this video, I will be breaking down exactly how we use that structure to scale a razor company to 500K and why it outperforms all the overcomplicated setups that you've been running. So without further ado, just let's jump straight into it. So we'll be talking specifically about a case study for one of our clients, and it's a sustainable razor company that was struggling to actually break through the high competitive personal care market and scale past the mid six figures despite having a super strong product. And the first thing that we saw was that they actually needed a strategy beyond just running ads blindly, right? They needed a system that compounds returns, not just random wins. They also had to stand out from competition because let's be honest, like the competitors were super big. You know, it's super hard to compete against big razor companies like Gillette, Wilkinson's, and also never forget the indirect competitors like hair removers, skin clinics, waxing, right? And so when they first started working with us, they were wasting thousands on ad spend and creatives that didn't convert, and they were facing inconsistent ROAS numbers. Maybe you have the exact same problem, and they weren't able to break past 6 figures a month, and they actually had no idea why. And I know many of you are facing the same problem. So if you're a serious founder doing over 25K a month, just click the link down below, join my free community. In the description and the pinned comments, there's a ton of resources, ton of step-by-step systems that have helped clients like this go from 126K to 500K a month in revenue. So after the initial audit that I did, I found a couple of things, right? So I'll be breaking everything down, writing it down so you can follow along. So after the initial audit, I found a couple of things that they were missing or just doing completely wrong. The first one was the ad account structure. Second one was not knowing their ICP. Third one was their product pages. Fourth one was their AOV, and the fifth one was no upsells. And I'll be breaking down each one of them so you can implement this thing yourself. So keep watching the videos because with every single problem, I'll be highlighting the solution as well. So let's get into it. And so the first one was the ad account structure, and that is a thing that I've seen over tons of accounts, right? So the ad account structure that they were doing was just multiple campaigns. The worst thing that you can do, right? Because you have multiple campaigns, the problem with multiple campaigns is that you have overlap in the bidding auction. So I always like to describe it as, you know, normally on a food market, there's always like, you have yourself, right? So you who's bidding against 50 other people, right? By bidding against all of these people, you already have to not only outbid all of these people, but by actually implementing more campaigns, you're not only bidding against those people, but also you're bidding against yourself. So that is you 2.2, and then here you 3.0, right? And by doing that, not only will your ad costs rise because you're not only bidding against yourself, you're bidding against multiple people on top of that as well. So that's one thing that I always see brands do is like have multiple accounts, multiple campaign setups, etc., which is not ideal. And also with the multiple ad account structures, you not only have overlap, but then also the reporting becomes super difficult, right? Because you don't necessarily know which ad got the sale, which campaign got the sale with all the attributions in Facebook. On top of that, they hit multiple campaigns where they were testing different ICPs, like different creatives, videos with basically photos, all of those not good practices that you should not do. And so the fix for this, which is super important, is just have one CBO campaign. And with that one CBO campaign, the purpose of doing those things is that you remove the overlap, you give Facebook more clarity as well, like way more clarity, because it's only one campaign where all the signals go to, no other things. And by doing CBO, you also give Facebook the reins, right? You give basically you give Facebook the control over your budget, but also you know exactly by doing those things which ad is converting the best, which is super important because right now, if you're doing an ABO campaign, you're giving every single ad the same budget, but you're wasting a lot of money because you're just giving Facebook more money, which of course Facebook always likes, but you actually don't know which ad is working and why it's working. If you do one campaign structure, I'll draw it out. If you do one campaign structure, so the ABO campaign setup, right, which is your ABO campaign. And you have to look at it like folders, right? You have folder 1, you have folder 2, you have folder 3, right? And in every single folder, you have different ads, right? But with every single ad, you give them the same amount of spend. And so the budget is based on the ad budget and it goes into every single ad. But you don't know which ad is working because you're not optimizing or you're not letting Meta actually provide the right data. While if you do a CBO campaign, you have a CBO campaign where all the budget drips down. So if you're folder 1, you have your folder 2, you have your folder 3 with all of your different ads basically. But here with CBO, the good thing is that it's basically dripping down to all of those different ads. And by doing that, you give Meta all the control and you tell, or basically Meta tells you, okay, ad 2 is a really good one, is getting a lot of sales, which translates in a lot of dollars for you. So you exactly know this ad works. So let's just create an iteration on it, right? But with the ABO structure, you actually don't know these things because your ABO is basically giving every single ad money. And maybe this ad might be working super well, but in reality, it is not converting the best because you're throwing money on all of these other ads, while maybe this ad is actually working the best because you're not letting Meta decide where the ad spend goes to. So that is a super big thing. We've tested this extensively across multiple accounts and we always see the best results with CBO. The best campaign structure that I'll show you is one CBO campaign where you have all your ad sets underneath it, right? With then 3 to 5 ads maximum. So you either have like 3 videos, you have either 3 images, and then you iterate. And on top of that, which is super important, is your structure of your budget, right? The biggest structure of your budget is you always have 100% budget. 40% goes to iterations. So iterations means basically if you find a winning ad, you just use that ad image, swap out the back image or swap out the colors, etc., right? Then you go 40%, which is variations, which is basically if you have a winning headline of an image, you can use that as a hook for a video, or you use that same type of headline, but instead of using us versus them, you use like a social type of post. And then 20% go to new ads or new ad concepts, just completely new ones. The biggest thing here is that if you're completely new, based on the research, you will always start off with basically iterations of your competitors. The second thing that we saw was basically their ICP, which is super important, which is a thing that we always go to, because if you look at clothes, basically every single industry, same with razors, most of the times it's just a commodity, right? So with your ICP, you have to do a lot of research on what type of avatar it is. Is it women over 30 that are staying at home? Or is it women in their 20s that are super conscious about eco-consciousness, eco-friendly products? Is it women that are actually using razors from different brands but they're experiencing different type of frustrations and different type of pains? So the biggest thing was that they were just throwing spaghetti at the wall, not knowing what was working. So what we did was we went deep into the razor brands, the razor industry, right? And the thing that we found, which is super important, was that people that shave with a typical type of razor, they always had strawberry skin. And it's a term that a lot of people or a lot of women use, and strawberry skin means that you have bumps after you've shaven your legs, right? So it's a type of slang that people use, but it's also a frustration because with regular razors, they would get hurt, they would get that strawberry skin, they would get those irritations. So by finding this, you're already segmenting, or you're pulling yourself out from other competitors because no one is using those terms, no one is looking at it that way, right? So with that, we basically found a winning pain. And with that winning pain, we started creating all sorts of different hooks, right? Because most of the times, you always start off with a pain hook or testing different pains or things, because that's the biggest thing. People will always run away faster from a burning house than walking away to their dream house, right? So starting off with pains is always the best. Try to find the pain and then stick your avatar to it. So that's a thing that we found, was that it was a different pain, that we use different hooks to basically promote that pain. By doing that, the strawberry scheme, we basically scaled them up super fast. We were able to find a lot of different winners. The third thing was their product pages. The typical thing with product pages is that it has basic information, basic images, just like a couple of reviews, etc. So the biggest thing is that we went in, we looked at the product pages, we looked at the CRO, we started implementing way more trust, we started implementing way more typical, like different type of offers on the images. That's super important, and most of brands just like waste their time or don't even look at it, is that the images always have to signal the different offers as well. So not only showcase the product, showcase the bundles, showcase what it does, what the USPs are, what is it made of in the images, because people will still swipe through those images on mobile, on your computer, to really see what is working. And then use all of those things on your product page as well. Run them through how they should use a product, if they have common objections, why they should use it. All address those things on your product page. Most brands, they just skip over it, which is not good at all. It's one of the easiest levers to pull, in my opinion, as well as like get UGC videos that you can use on those product pages, videos on how to use it, literally customer reviews, etc. That all builds proof. But so we implemented all of those things. So basically the best CRO practices, right? Another thing is that we started testing different types of pages. And what I mean by that is that you have, most of the times you have your product page where the majority of people drive their traffic to. But the moment you find a couple of winning ads, you should start testing different type of pages. You should start testing like listicles. You should start testing advertorials. You should start testing like bundle only products, right? And by doing all of these things, you can take your winning ads, put them in a separate CBO, but test the different type of pages. And because if you're testing the different type of pages, you will start to know, is the product page working better? Or for more of an unaware market, why should they be using the product? What is a common objection? What is a common problem that they're facing? And by addressing those things in your listicles and your advertorials, you actually make sure that they go from a unaware stage when they see your ad, or the problem aware stage, they land on the page that talks about the product, runs them through the solution, runs them through your solution and why they should buy, which basically builds credibility. It reads like an article, the listicle, same with an advertorial, it's like videos or etc., which all drive a lot of different conversions. And so what we found out was that bundle only pages was working super well. So because it was around Q4, which is of course Black Friday, Christmas, etc., we started creating different type of pages all around like Christmas offers, all around different type of avatars, which is also super important. So you can find a winning avatar, create a whole page where you're showcasing that avatar. We've done it for another client as well in a specific demographic, and just by changing the photos on the landing pages, it crushes. It's the same, I always compare it as if you see an ad from a guy that is, or an older person that has problems with their knees and they're looking for a knee brace, and they go click on a product and they see knee braces for people who do weightlifting, they drop off because the ICP, there's a big mismatch, right? And a lot of people, they don't use their ICPs or their avatars in their ads and on their product pages. So those two things are super important to test. Another thing was low AOV, right? Because most of the times they came onto the page, they just bought the first product, right? Plus a pack of razors. And of course, with shaving goods, etc. So the pack of razor is always the biggest revenue driver, because like if you look at Gillette, if you look at Wilkinson, they just sell the razor holder at a super cheap price, but the razor blades are actually way more expensive. So we started testing all of these different things. And what we found out was that 2 different bundles were working super well. That increased the AOV dramatically, right? So the product alone, for example, would have been like 20 euros. Plus the razors, which was maybe like another 20 euros, right? But if you do a bundle, which we found out was the bundle for a full year, your AOV went up to 60 or even 80 euros just from one purchase. And of course, maybe the returning customers are a bit lower, but this is a crazy entry offer, because then afterwards what we found out was you can do the same bundle, but you add on different type of extras, like razor cream, for example. And that's the last part is the upsells, right? So by doing those things, you created a bundle, which was basically the 1 year bundle. You created a bundle with razor cream or soap. And then on top of that, you start implementing different things. You start upselling them on different like moisturizers, right? Exfoliating gloves, because it removes dead skin, which makes the skin smoother, which makes the whole shaving experience way better. Then on top of that, you add certain things like an aftershave type of thing. You add soap, etc. And all of these things make sure that the AOV, if it increases, plus you have upsells, that all makes sure that your revenue goes up, but also your ROAS goes up, because you have to spend less for the same purchase, right? Because with upsells, with bundles, they basically, the AOV goes up, you get more from the same amount of dollars that you're spending. And that is exactly the ad structure and the strategies that we use to scale them to 500K a month. And if you want direct access to all of these systems and the frameworks that we use, just join the school community, click the link in the description. And if you're an e-com brand doing between 50K a month and you want to scale to 6 or 7 figures a month, then click the link down below to hop on a call with me, where we'll do a complete audit for you and see how we're able to help you. But apart from that, I'll see you in the next one.